Let's explore 3 simple mindfulness practices for daily life. The next time you feel frazzled and you'd like a reset, take a brisk walk around the block. While you do so during your inhalations, please silently and mentally recite, "Notice this." And during your exhalations, please silently and mentally recite the 3-syllable verb, "relaxing." So notice this is not an act of concentration, it's an act of mindfulness. So concentration is you focus on one thing, an arbitrary thing, to the exclusion of everything else. That's not what you want. Notice this just reminds you that you're already wired to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly every time you breathe in. Why are you playing with that phrase then? To align your brain with this mindfulness protocol of the autonomic nervous system located not in the brain, but actually in the spinal cord. Let's assume you've been kicking back after work, after dinner, on the sofa, and you're feeling a bit sluggish, but it's not time to go to bed. During the next commercial break, go sit on the floor cross-legged as properly as you can. During the inhalation, please silently and mentally recite "sitting tall." During the exhalation, again, silently and mentally recite the 3-syllable verb, "relaxing." So you do it just as long as the commercial break is lengthy, and then return to your partner on the couch for the next bit of the show. That is a lovely way to inject some oomph into your evening, especially after a long work day. Now, I don't know about you, but as someone who has lifelong ADHD, falling asleep has been a bit of a challenge. And so here's the technique that I find very useful. When I'm lying in bed, my main goal is not enlightenment. When I'm lying in bed, my main goal is to get to sleep because it supports neurological health like nothing else. So I practice a form of counting meditation. And I give myself permission to do it imperfectly because doing it imperfectly means I'm falling asleep, which is the goal of the moment. So in the inhalation, I silently and mentally recite an odd number. And during the exhalation, I relax into the silent and mental recitation of the very next even number. So for instance, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I make myself I make a promise to myself. If I make it to 100 and I'm still awake, then I get out of bed, I sit on the couch, and I read with my right eye closed, reading exclusively out of my left eye. And when my eye starts to close involuntarily, then I go back to bed and try again. Because if at a certain point the technique isn't working, you have to reset. And you reset by leaving the bed, leaving the bedroom, reading, and then taking another swing at it. And so these 3 techniques, the walking meditation, the sitting meditation, and the counting meditation, I found them to be useful tools that require a very, very short time commitment that can enrich your spiritual life. I do look forward to chanting and meditating with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've spent more than 8 hours a day, every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you wouldn't have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. This evening, let's play with Kind Gaze's Easy Meditation. Who is this Kind Gaze fellow? Well, if you ask someone who is traversing the path of being rigid, fearful, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, then they will tell you they were a great celestial entity that must be worshipped and supplicated. However, if you speak to someone who is on a different path, who perchance is on the path of being flexible, loving, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind, they will tell you most likely that kind gaze is simply an archetype whose iconography reminds us that we are already wired to master awareness and letting go, bliss and letting go, as well as love and letting go. We're going to flip-flop between mantra meditation and silent meditation, flipping and flopping like we're cooking pancakes or French toast or matzo ball. So I think it makes perfect sense to begin by reviewing the meaning of the 6-syllable mantra. By the way, these techniques we're going to play with tonight are adaptations of the techniques taught in the final meditation manual of the great Tibetan yogi Gyatso Rinpoche, titled Heart Treasure of the Enlightened Ones. Together. Om I invoke the wish of heading Monu Jewel in the purifying beamy lotus of letting go, supplicating with whom may love and letting go be mastered by all. Well, if we're not supplicating, why are my hands look like I'm in a prayer position? And that's simple. Putting your hands in the puckered palm position before your sternum helps your real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce within your central channel. All the techniques we're going to play with this evening fit snugly into one of 4 categories: preliminary practices, awareness and letting go, bliss and letting go, as well as love and letting go. And we're going to start with bliss and letting go. This bronze image here reminds us of the enlightened potential latent within our central nervous system. This figure here, this red figure depicting 2 entities sporting in tantric union, literally remind us of the teachings and figuratively remind us of the sensations of real or imagined energy coalescing either at the top of our head or a forearm's length above it. Now, let's begin with a secret. Here's the secret to transforming mindless mantra recitation into productive mantra meditation. It's very simple. During the inhalation, we silently and mentally recite this italicized bit. During the exhalation, we physically relax as best we can, while striving to chant these 12 syllables 4 times per breath. Please give yourself a learning curve. Give yourself permission to have a learning curve. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Having chanted our mantra 32 times, it's time to rest the mind. Our first exercise to do that is going to focus on mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we mean to or not, we automatically access our sympathetic nervous system, found not within the 3-pound supercomputer between our ears. Instead, it calls the thoracic region of our spinal cord home. It has not evolved to indulge either extreme of mind blanking or active concentration. Instead, it evolved to simply perceive, and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. In fact, it could be argued that vulnerability is the price of mindfulness. Perhaps that is why this couple, which serve as a meditational archetype, are depicted as vulnerable in their nudity. Well, if we're not supposed to actively concentrate upon our breath, then what are we supposed to do with our breath? We treat our breath the way a piano student treats their metronome. When we notice our bodies breathing in, we can recite 12 syllables which are not an affirmation, for affirmation deals with fanciful thinking and belief, but rather 12 syllables of observation, for these things are actually occurring in the present moment, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. During the exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite an additional 12-syllable observation, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. So I would like to do this with you for approximately 12 to 16 rounds. It's going to take me 16 rounds to do this because I'm breathing really quickly with all this talking. You'll probably be able to do this in 8 to 12 rounds within the same chunk of time. But I think it would be unfair for me to ask you to do that unless I first showed you how to count to 4 or 12 or 16. Please consider your left palm. We have 4 fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoopsie, 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Upon each finger, there are 2 options. You can count to 2, 1, 2, and 2 times 4 is 8. You can count to 3, 1, 2, 3, and 3 times 4 is 12. Or you can count to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and doing so in all 4 fingers gives you 16. I recommend advancing the tip of the thumb during each inhalation. During the exhalation, the main goal is just to relax as best you can. Now, is this weird? It sure is. Is this ungainly? Yeah, sure, you betcha. But if you play with this for about 5 minutes or so every 12 hours, then by the end of the week, you'll be used to it. Welcome aboard. So for approximately 8 to 12 rounds, I encourage you to silently and mentally recite, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind during each inhalation, and silently and mentally recite, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature during each exhalation. We turn our attention now to the outer set of preliminary practices in the tradition of the final meditation manual of Dza Paltrul Rinpoche. Please chant with me. Those who tread that path of Devadatta use the awareness of stress to frighten folks into an analog of morality. But upon this path of the Buddha, the awareness of other stress rules or empathy. During your inhalation, please silently and mentally recite, "May I note others' stress." Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Let's chant. Those who tread that path of Devadatta use the awareness of causality to frighten folks into a form of moral code. But upon this path of the Buddha, the awareness of interdependence reminds us that our love could lighten others' loads. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Those who tread that path of Devadatta use the awareness of impermanence to promote a few different practice, although upon this path of the Buddha, the awareness of change could fuel our wisdom of letting go. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Those who tread that path of Devadatta use the awareness of the preciousness of our meditation opportunities to frighten folks into neurotic diligence. But upon this path of the Buddha, we joyfully flow from the effortless effort of love-centered spontaneity. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Let's do a little edit. Having chanted the mantra 32 times, let us rest the mind. We'll begin by reviewing mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we access our sympathetic nervous system that is wired to notice sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. What are we to do with all the stuff that we notice? And that brings us over to meditation. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we access the parasympathetic nervous system, also located within the spinal cord, but instead of it being in the thoracic region, it's located in both the lower lumbar region as well as the tippy top of the cervical region. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. It's already hardwired into us. Every time we relax, take two. Every time we relax into our exhalation, whatever we noticed during our previous exhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Now, any English teacher worth her salt will remind us that a simile is only as useful as it is relatable. So what is a real-world example of a non-graspable vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand? So, an efficient way of practicing perceptive mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite sitting tall during each inhalation, thus reminding our body to generate a vertical traction between our tuchus and our kepe, as if pulling our head out of the warm, dark place we sometimes keep it. During each exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the 3-syllable verb relaxing that we mentioned during the opening discourse. We continue with an inner set of preliminary practices, inspired by the text, the heart treasure of the enlightened ones. Together. In our empathy may we long to free all beings from the tyranny of hate, engraving, and confusion. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. In our pragmatism, may all liberation of all others be fueled by your reliance on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students, described by the metaphor of the 3 wish-fulfilling jewels. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Rather than squander our time and energy in defensiveness, how much wiser could it be to learn from all mistakes lessons that effortlessly flow from the centered spontaneity of mindfulness and meditation? Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Welcome to this evening's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Please chant with me. Now, this is This is going to require a bit of the old hand jive. A life squandered in competition and greed leads not to peace and fulfillment. Better to live in cooperation and generosity. At life's end may this mind shoot. At this life's end may this mind shoot out crown zone. And then offer all my stuff to the beings of nirvana and samsara. And of course I forgot the word all because I'm funny that way. And then offer all my stuff to all the beings of nirvana and samsara. The ultimate fire sale. During our inhalation, let's silently and mentally recite this italicized line. During our exhalation, let's physically relax as best we can while striving to chant these 12 syllables 4 times per breath. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Having chanted the mantra 32 times, let's rest the mind. But first, let's review the first of 2 fringe benefits of a healthy practice of mindfulness and meditation. We're going to put this in the old good news, bad news paradigm, beginning with bad news. When we rely on active concentration and active contemplation, our blood tightens together at the amygdala, located at the bottom of our limbic system, which serves as the center or the seat of both anxiety and aggression, which is pretty darkly ironic. I mean, let's face it, we turn to meditation to escape those things, not multiply them. So here's the good news. When we replace active concentration with the passive mindfulness that relies on our sympathetic nervous system, and when we replace active contemplation with a passive meditation that relies on our exhalations, access to our parasympathetic nervous system, then our blood shifts to our anterior cingulate gyrus, located just a few centimeters behind our forehead. It functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy. Perhaps that is why the Dzogchen Lamas of Tibet have always insisted the highest love is spontaneous and uncontrived. Perhaps this is why this meditational archetype is depicted as beautiful. Or I should say, the 2 individuals comprising this meditational archetype are depicted as beautiful. Now, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. To practice mindfulness, during each inhalation, please silently and mentally recite, "Notice this." During each exhalation, to practice meditation, please silently and mentally recite the 3-syllable verb, "relaxing." We come now to this evening's second exercise to help us train in bliss and letting go. This is known in Sanskrit as Guru Yoga and in Tibetan as Lama Najor. This brass figure represents the way that our central nervous system functions to support our spiritual training. This figure of a red man and a red woman sporting a tantric union represents the teachings. During our inhalation, please silently and mentally recite Lama blend with heart-mind. During the exhalation, please physically relax as best you can while striving to chant these 12 syllables 4 times per breath. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Good evening and welcome to this evening's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window and I'll be elated to answer it for you. Let's take a moment to explore the second fringe benefit of a regular practice of mindfulness and meditation. Let's turn our attention to this classic Dzogchen tapestry. Consider this gal, who's the color of a white cumulus cloud, who appears to be actively sporting in tantric union. This reminds us that contrivance is always trumped by spontaneity. Now consider her partner, who appears to also be savoring tantric union in a distinctly passive manner. This reminds us that not all spontaneity is created equal. Furthermore, that the scattered spontaneity that we might experience after our third espresso is always going to be trumped by the centered spontaneity that is the natural byproduct of mindfulness and meditation. Now let's take it a step further. When our choices, utterances, and deeds flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, then our life could become as blissful as the real or imagined paradise of a real or imagined Buddha. During our inhalation, please let us practice mindfulness's perception. Or in other words, let's try this another way. We're already wired to practice mindfulness during every exhalation, but our brain doesn't know that. So to enlist the cooperation of our brain, during our inhalation, let us silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. Similarly, during each exhalation, we're already wired to practice meditation's release. But once again, our Dennis the Menace of a brain doesn't know that. So we give it a simple chore. Hey brain, during the exhalation, please silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. That way, instead of our brain opposing our autonomic nervous system, it cooperates with it. Thus far, we have practiced the preliminary practices. We have practiced bliss and letting go, and we have practiced awareness and letting go. Whoopsie. Come on, fingers, don't fail me now. That button and see if I can correct that. Okay, now let's get to the conventional practice of love and letting go, where it is love that shall be emphasized. So we're going to start with a brief overview. Please chant with me. Those who tread that path of Devadatta squander time and energy with contrivances of visualization, emotion, magic, and belief. Upon this path of the Buddha, we simply recite these words in harmony with our breathing and allow our subconscious to do the heavy lifting. So up until this point, what we've been doing is this. During our inhalation, we silently and mentally recite the italicized bit, and during the exhalation, we physically relax as best we can while striving to chant these 12 syllables 4 times per breath. However, during these next 8 exercises, this italicized bit is going to be really, really informationally dense and reliant upon metaphoric language. Fortunately, this italicized bit functions as a synopsis of the quatrain or 2 triplets that precede it. So hopefully this should be less confusing. So together as a team, let's chant. May all minds of all beings know be as peacefully wise as the mind of a real or imagined Buddha symbolized by a tikle 1 syllable seed or bija mantra. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Together. May all relationships of all beings now be as joyfully loving as a real or imagined Buddha's communication symbolized by the 6 syllable mantra. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. May all bodies of all beings now enjoy the beautiful health seen in Buddhist art, depicting the blissful body of a real or imagined Devi or Yadama, an archetype of enlightenment such as Chenrezig. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. May all circumstances or lots of all beings now have the good fortune or boon, as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise, pure land or vati. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Having chanted the six-syllable mantra 32 times, during our inhalation, let us kick back and watch the play of mind. And as we exhale, let us physically relax into mind's non-graspable nature. Let's see, Control G, I'm going to hit 49, and let's see what that does to the display. Fortunately, it's done nothing to display. We're going to jump ahead in the text. Now let us bring the spontaneous play of mind into the path of awareness and letting go. Whoops, I got ahead of myself, didn't I? Let's try that again. Sorry, kids. Now let us view letting go through a physiological lens as we bring the experience of the four bases of mindfulness into the ultimate path of love and letting go, where it is letting go that is emphasized. Those who tread that path of Devadatta, caught in the thrall of rigidity, confuse metaphors for literal statements. But upon this path of the Buddha, we relax into flexibility, severing the chance that explain the metaphors as similes. As we inhale, we could notice all mind's perceptions, emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings quite clearly. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable or void as a real or imagined bija seed suitable of light. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. As we inhale, the interpersonal experience of communication or speech could sound quite resounding. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, it could feel as not graspable or void as a real or imagined mantra of light. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. As we inhale, our bodies, our forms could feel quite sensual. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as not graspable or void as a real or imagined archetype or yedam of light. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. As we inhale, all circumstances or lots could appear quite vivid. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they can feel as non-graspable or what is a real or imagined paradise or vati of light. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. So quick like a bunny, I'm going to tap a few buttons and see what that does to the display. Let's jump back in the forward in the text. And now let's bring the spontaneous play of mind into the path of awareness and letting go. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Welcome to this evening's live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, Simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. The secret to transforming mindless mantra recitation into productive mantra meditation is easy. During our in-breath, we could silently and mentally recite, relaxing into this. During our exhalation, we could physically relax as best we can, while silently and mentally striving. Let's try this again. We can physically relax as best we can while striving to chant these 12 syllables 4 times per breath. But first, let's look a little deeper into this italicized bit. Relaxing into this. But what is this? This is whatever we spontaneously, viscerally, randomly, and vulnerably notice during our in-breath. It might be a sight, a sound, a sensation, a flavor, a scent, or the like. It might be an emotion, an intention, a thought, a memory, or an imagining. We could notice the external, the internal, the physical, the mental, the pleasurable, the painful, the interesting, the boring, the glorious, or the grotesque. What do we do with that which we notice? We physically relax as best we can while chanting this bit. This is just that simple. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Please give yourself permission to have a learning curve. Play with this mantra once every 12 hours, and by the end of the week, you should be totally used to it. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Having chanted the mantra 32 times, let us kick back and watch the play of mind as silently and mentally we recite the demonstrative pronoun this. Then let us physically relax into mind's non-graspable nature as silently and mentally we recite the one-syllable verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax. Every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, whether we mean to or not, we access our sympathetic nervous system. Ensconced within the thoracic or ribcage region of our spinal cord, it has evolved not to indulge the two extremes of mind blanking or active concentration, but instead it has evolved to simply notice, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, whether we mean to or not, we access our parasympathetic nervous system. Also found in our spinal cord, it is ensconced within the lower lumbar region as well as the tippy top of the cervical region. It has evolved for both physical relaxation and mental release. Our brain, however, is a three-ring circus. However, we can invite it to cooperate with the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems through the cunning use of silent and mental recitation. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. This morning, I woke up at about 2:30 with a nightmare. In the nightmare, I was having flashbacks to traumas I endured in the past. And so I woke up in a deeply agitated state. And so I sat on the couch I closed the door so as not to wake up my tantric partner and sat on the couch and practiced these exercises. And they helped. They did not erase my past, but they helped me to transcend the resistance I have to my past and make a little bit more peace with it. And so I share it with you, not because I'm certain you've endured some grandiose trauma bordering on the grotesque, but just because no one makes it through life without scars. And everybody cries, everybody has pain. And the fundamental purpose of these techniques is to cope with the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. If these things aren't good for our emotions, then in the words of the late tutor of the 14th Dalai Lama, what use are they? Om mani mimi yung 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 om mani yung, om, mani me me 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 yung. Om mani me me yung, 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 om mani me me yung. Om mani me me yung, om mani me me yung. Om mani me me yung, 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 om mani me me yung. Om mani me me yung, 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 om mani me me yung. Om mani me me yung, 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 om mani me me yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Om mani mimi yung, 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 om mani mimi yung. Let us seal this evening's practice with the love that wishes for the universal mastery of Buddha's Eightfold Path. What follows is not a prayer as much as merely using words to guide our own loving intention. We've just generated a lot of really positive energy. And now we're going to use words to guide our intention to share the energy with others. Now, if that doesn't really happen that way, and that's just a metaphysical pipe dream, that's okay, because we're still exercising the neural pathways responsible for empathy. May Whole Master change in wishing, love, as well as kind communication, conduct, and calmness. May Whole Master the effortless effort of love-centered spontaneity, as well as mindfulness and meditation. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 3/4 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.